Namaste. Good morning, everyone. I thought this morning that I might go into a mantra, which I'm sure everyone has heard and everyone has probably said at some point. This mantra started out in India, but then it's traveled and become mostly used, of course, by Buddhists around the world. Okay. And I never see too much of a big explanation about what it actually is. Okay, so I thought I would give a little talk on that this morning. Now, in one of the practices I give out here in this path is called Contemplation of Self, and we use this mantra, plus there's another half to it, which makes it a complete mantra, which usually I don't give out unless somebody is a serious student of mine, and then I will give the second part to this mantra. Okay, so the mantra is Om Mani Padme Hum. Okay, Om Mani Padme Hum. So the translation of it comes out to say the jewel is in the heart of the lotus. Okay, the jewel is in the lotus. Okay, so what does that mean? The jewel is in the lotus. Okay, well, the lotus, as you know, is a flower that grows out of the mud. Okay, beautiful flower. And when they grow, the flower is above the water, and it's not touched by any of the mud. It's pure. It's so fragile, so delicate, so lovely. Okay. So this indicates, a person that has done all of their practices and they've come to fruition, okay, in their spiritual search. So that jewel that's found, that's in the heart of the lotus, is that God essence, okay, that wisdom, that realization, okay, that moksha, okay, that one comes to, that jewel, so precious, so precious, so precious. Okay, but understand that all practices start out in the mud. Okay, we start out in the mud. Okay, but also you need that mud to, as it's part of your practice, to actually start to look at the mind and what happens. So I call the mud sort of like the mind play, the mind drama, the mind spin, the soap opera, everything that people begin with in their spiritual search. Okay, through meditation, through sitting and observing the practices that we give, one begins to see and deconstruct the mind drama and see what it is, and more importantly, what it's not. Okay, and backs out of that mind spin. Okay, so this continues to grow up through that water, the mud. Okay, and the mud is also, I say, also representative of the earth plane. The corporeal body, the corporeal self that we all deal with. We all are encased in this flesh for the time that we're here. But we are not this flesh, we are that spirit, okay? This is what we find. We find out we are this spirit. Bodies come and go, okay? There's a natural cycle to the world that takes place, okay? But the spirit is ongoing, okay? And the lotus is untouched by the mud. It retains its beauty, just as that spirit, that self, as some say, Parabrahman, okay, is the same within everything, okay? It runs like a thread through everything, okay? Like you say, you cannot be away from God, because God if you want to say God, is all that exists, okay? It's in every atom, every molecule. So you can't get away from, if you tried, okay? People think they're so far away, but they're not, you know, and that's what you find, that jewel. That jewel is in the heart of the lotus. It's in that heart of purity, you know, like that one writing that I have that's called The Temple. We are the temple of the living God, okay? In that, when you find that essence, when you've deconstructed all the drama, then you find out in that moment of realization, it's such a profound shift. You find that the personal self, called ego self, okay, basically is an illusion of mind, a delusion of mind, of these experiences that have been gathered, collected, that one clings to or pushes away from, okay? When one gets to that point and deconstructs into that is, you know, I call it the great, sometimes they call it the zero or the void, but it's not devoid. When you get to realization, it's not devoid. I call it the pregnant void. It's pregnant with everything that will ever come into existence, okay? That pregnant void, that is, okay? And one sees that you could have never been separated from it. It is part and partial, the whole of your being, minus the mind spin, okay? So when that takes place, when one enters that jewel, and realization takes place, okay, all the baggage that one has collected is, what do they say? Blown out. You've entered nirvana. Sometimes they'll say nibbana. When you enter nirvana or nibbana, it means blown out. So what's blown out? What's blown out is all the false ideations one has had. Okay, the mental spin, it ends and one enters that stillness. Okay, the mind spin doesn't come back. Okay, one enters that purity like that lotus, very calm, very centered, still connected with earth, still in that body form. Okay, but one has entered that jewel that's in that lotus. Okay, so I hope this is not confused you further. I hope you could see where it's going with that. But it's indicative, again, of a spiritual life, indicative of a practice, indicative of where one wishes to surrender into. Okay, the goal is to enter that jewel, to be that lotus, to enter that jewel, to find out what the Bible would term the pearl of great price. And if you know how pearls are made, an irritant gets in the shell, and the oyster creates that nacre around that sand and makes this beautiful pearl. But it comes at a price. It's not simple to make that pearl. It doesn't come out of bliss. It comes out of hardship, okay? And usually that hardship is what drives us to a spiritual path to begin with, okay? Wanting to get rid of that hardship, okay? So this is just a little bit about paths and what it means when one says, Om Mani Padme Hum, you know, may I enter that jewel in the heart of the lotus. May I become that lotus. May I find that jewel, okay? May I enter that purity, okay? So namaste. Have a great day, everyone.